Uh-oh. What just happened? Everything was working a moment ago. You gotta be kidding me. The Canadians are attacking. Something's wrong. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Are you kidding me? I just ran through everything. And what was that? I just went through everything and I do a pre check. I have my own pre check list. I go through all of my settings. I make sure everything turns on. It did an update before we got started and it shut off my camera. And my chair's a little low. I was wondering why the camera looked weird. I'm so confused right now. My Yeti's working just fine, and the camera was working during the pre check. And some sort of combined act of sabotage from Canada and from the West Michigan team has clearly gotten to me. I am now frazzled. Can I even go on? Yeah, I can. I can, and I will. Hello and welcome to the April 14th, 2024 episode of Nick's News. My name is Nick, your host. This is brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, I have started to put money into this little hobby, and it is becoming something that I really love to do. We're on every other Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News Facebook page. That's right, we're here on Facebook Meta, whatever the hell it's called this week. We are working on cross-platform. I am diligently working on it. We just haven't gotten there yet. We are going to have a Nick's News YouTube page that's going to have all of our snips, all of our clips, and full videos, so I have another place to store these, and I will dual stream Facebook and YouTube, because I know some people don't like Facebook. I get it, believe me. So this is a program dedicated to bringing some good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing some joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from goodnewsnetwork.org, and we do appreciate articles that are sent in by you, the viewers, who are rife with accusations and shouting at me and talking about how I'm late, and it's just awful. It's just awful. They're the worst. They're the worst. My own viewers are just the worst. You know who you are. So let's get into our news brew. This is going to be a good one. Our news brew for today is Cinnamon Expedition Stout from Bell's Brewery. Another Bell's Brewery, 2 in a row. This is a 13.3% ABV high octane brew. It's a Russian Imperial Stout that's aged in bourbon barrels with cinnamon. My friend David Horak recently moved to Grand Rapids and gifted me this beer for helping him move. David, welcome to Grand Rapids. You can check him out on Wood TV 8. He is a reporter for them, and he is a fantastic newsman. Yeah, let's crack this open. We got the Balisong bottle opener. Yep, that'll pack a really decent kick, so. And we've got our nice Harpoon limited edition snifter because oh, can I get a good one? It's not the best, but it's okay. I love it. Let's get this beer into the glass. Stuff pours like motor oil. Every last drop. Maybe we should get him to do the news while I figure out tech. Ouch, Sean. Jeez. I was going to do a shout out for you, but maybe I shouldn't now, considering you're being so crabby. We'll do it anyway. Let's get to our shout out. So, our conductor of the derailment train and Canadian public transportation guru Sean, who is just blathering on in my comments, has acquired a new car. Obviously, he decided to try to show me up, and he got himself a 2022 Hyundai Palisade. I took a look at it, and it looks like a Hyundai ripoff of my Rogue. So, congratulations on your new vehicle, Sean. You have followed me into mediocrity. Ha ha. Second shout out is to my brother Erik. His son Arthur just celebrated his 5th birthday last Friday. A huge happy birthday to the little man, and congratulations to his father Erik. Love you, brother. I'll let the peanut gallery catch up. because we just blazed through those. Sean is probably reeling. He's just like, oh, those hits. Doesn't know how to take them. I'm pretty sure I got my info right, Sean. Charlie, you just missed the shout out for Erik's son for your ward. I did a shout out for Arthur's 5th birthday. I can take it just fine when it's accurate. You said it's a 21 Palisade. What the hell else is a 21 Palisade? Is it not a car? I didn't call it a Palisade. While Sean corrects me on the news that he sent me that I gave him a shout out for, let's get into our news quote. I really like this one. 3 things in human life are important. The first is to be kind. The second is to be kind. And the third is to be kind. That is from Henry James, Order of Merit, who is an American-British author and is considered to be among the greatest novelists in the English language. Did I say it was a 22? Whatever. It's even older. Just like you. So I really like that quote. Obviously, the 3 big things are the same thing every time. It's to desolate your nemesis. No, we're not talking about desolating enemies. We are talking about just being kind. It's a very difficult thing in today's world. Part of the reason that we do Nick's News is simply because we, like I stated in the opener, we are bombarded with bad news and just bad vibes on a daily basis. So we try to just bring a little back. And, so I like that quote. I really like that quote. 3 things in human life are important. The first is to be kind. The second is to be kind. And the third is to be kind. And if you can pull off those 3 things... Cheers. Expedition Stout by Bell's Brewing is a really bar setter stout. And that version's even better. That's crazy. I really like that beer. Bug update, it's all quiet on the buggy front. I've got more darkling beetles. They're chewing away at wood and all sorts of stuff in their home. I've got a new host of adult Madagascar hissers. I really don't have much else going on. I really need to get something new. Something to shake up the bug world, you know? We'll figure it out. My chat is vicious. No, I have, Lily. I'm just not acknowledging it. Oh, Charlie, that's all right. Live vicariously all you want. Just if you want to live even more vicariously, you can check me out on Untapped. My username on that is Godzilla2K4, I think. If you get an account and you just watch my posts, you can live vicariously through my beer drinking on there. Y'all are mean in chat. All right. Let's get into our good news. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and we'll end on the wholesome notes, those real feel-good articles. So, we're going to start off in category 1, science and technology. I called this article From Darkness to Light, and this one was sent in by Charlie. So thank you very much, Charlie, for sending this one in. And I will copy and paste this into the chat so y'all can read along. Oh, where's my chat? I gotta go to the version of this that lets me punch my comments in. There it is. Pasta. Oh, where's my chat? Oh. I gotta go to the version. Oh gosh. There we go. Okay. After the eclipse, get ready for a once-in-a-lifetime nova. Once Monday's eclipse fever has passed, that was last week Monday, there is an extraordinary upcoming celestial event to look forward to. Corona Borealis, or the Northern Crown, is a constellation located between Hercules and the Boots in the night sky. T Corona Borealis, or TCRB, is a binary star system within the constellation consisting of a red giant and a white dwarf. And once every year or so, it explodes. This recurring nova is only one of 5 in our galaxy. This happens because TCRB is a binary system with a white dwarf and red giant. The stars are close enough that as the red giant becomes unstable from its increasing temperature and pressure and begins ejecting its outer layers, the white dwarf collects that matter onto its surface. The shallow, dense atmosphere of the white dwarf eventually heats enough to cause a runaway thermonuclear reaction, which produces the nova we see from Earth. So we've got big star and little star. You get enough mass off of big star onto little star, and little star blows up again. Which is crazy. Nova from Corona Borealis were observed in 1866 and 1946, but NASA scientists believe it will occur again this year, sometime between now and September. Normally not visible to the naked eye, the star system could appear as bright as Polaris, the North Star, for several days. It may be visible with binoculars for up to a week, but then it will dim again for another 80 years. This video, that's included in the article, from Houston Astronomical Society features a talk by a very talented amateur astronomer about recurrent nova, and TCRB in particular. That is really cool. So following the darkness we had from the eclipse, we may get a bright light show in the form of TCRB going nova. Charlie, thank you very much for sending that over, and to all of the scientists at NASA that are tracking this kind of stuff. Cheers. I realized a while ago y'all are feral, Sean. Tonight is no different. This next one I called Reduce, Reuse, Recycle, which I think is a recurring title for our articles. I think anytime I get a really cool recycling article, it's just Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. This one was sent in by Eliza. So Eliza, thank you so much for sending this one in. And I will copy this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Recycling Week Series. West Michigan company transforms Great Lakes plastic into clothing. Oshkosh's founder is a Muskegon native who founded the company when he was 17 years old. The mission to reduce, reuse, and recycle is on the mind of many nowadays. For some, it started at a very young age. At just 17 years old, Jackson Riegler started a project that transformed plastic into clothing. Jackson, a Muskegon native, was inspired by the Great Lakes at a young age. In high school, Jackson started making waves with an internship at the Grand Valley State University Annis Water Research Center, a place that actually my father worked at for several years. And I actually worked at for a couple of years. That was what started to open my eyes to how many issues there were towards the Great Lakes watershed, said Riegler. At the time, there was a $300 million budget cut and proposal for Great Lakes funding, and that was the last straw for me. It sort of pushed me to act in some way. Jackson then dug into his own pockets to fund his passion. It was the easiest thing to do at first with money I'd saved up landscaping, said Riegler. Print some shirts and donate a portion of those profits to nonprofits working to preserve the Great Lakes. Driven by his passion for the environment and desire to make a positive impact, Jackson founded Oshkosh in 2017. At the time, he was only a senior in high school. Oshkosh is a local business that transforms plastic from the Great Lakes and United States into durable, sustainable apparel. Oshkosh means fresh in Ojibwe, which is a tribe native to the Great Lakes region. According to the Oshkosh website, Jackson chose the name to honor the Ojibwe people's sustainable lifestyle and their commitment to preserving the Great Lakes for future generations. After graduation, he took his mission to the University of Michigan, where my brother graduated from. I went to Michigan and got some grant funding and started to realize how the manufacturing process works for apparel companies and how damaging it is to the environment, said Riegler. How does the process work? It all begins with recycling centers. They process and sanitize the plastic so that it's able to be used on a post-consumer level. They chip it into little pellets and then spit it into polyester yarn, said Riegler. Once that process is done, it can be used just as any other virgin polyester material. That's really cool. The hoodie he was wearing during the interview with Fox 17's Haley Vaughn was comprised of about 18 plastic bottles worth of waste, all from the United States. 100% of the plastic that Oshkosh reuses comes from the United States, and a portion is pulled directly from the Great Lakes region. According to the Oshkosh website, over 22 million pounds of plastic waste enters the Great Lakes each year. That plastic is threatening the health of vital wildlife and ecosystems. At Oshkosh, they are determined to make a difference. You may see on the news that these large Pacific garbage patches in the ocean and think that, oh, the Great Lakes don't have that, said Riegler. But in reality, 90% of the plastic that ends up in the Great Lakes ends up on beaches. So it's much more of a grassroots-led effort. Jackson's goal is to one day source all of his material from plastic in Michigan, creating a circular economy. It's my focus moving forward. Just continue to increase that local aspect, said Riegler. A lot of companies are focusing on sourcing sustainability, but their definition is a lot different than mine. In my opinion, the global shipping industry is very damaging, very fossil fuel intensive. So, he's keeping it in the backyard, basically. I don't know what's going on in the comments. I'm going to keep reading. I should be afraid. Oshkosh is the first apparel company to focus solely on the use of U.S. plastic waste in their recycling processes. According to their website, their ultimate goal is to achieve a fully closed-loop supply chain, where all plastics are sourced exclusively from Oshkosh's cleanup efforts. After 6 years building his business, Jackson knows there's still a long way to go. There's a lot of ideas that I have moving forward to increase our efforts and keep the Great Lakes clean, said Riegler. To support his business and reduce plastic waste, you can purchase some of his apparel by visiting his website. 5% of all of their proceeds go towards preserving the Great Lakes. That is really cool. The fashion industry is one of the biggest impacts on the environment. It takes about 766 gallons of water just to make one single white t-shirt. That's about 10 full bathtubs. It's nice that we are finding alternatives. It is. That is a really cool one. I know you had to do some digging to find a good version of that one, Eliza. Thank you so much for sending that in. And to Mr. Riegler and his business, may you continue to grow. And cheers. Sean is particularly feral today. I'm glad I have a strong beer. All right, so that gets us out of science and technology. We're going to move into category 2, health and medicine, and we are going to start off with, of course, cancer. Fuck cancer. Anytime we have a cancer article, that's the title it gets because we are not fans of cancer around here. So, I called this one Cancer Fuck Cancer. I will copy and paste it in the chat for y'all to read along if you would like. I love that everybody joins in with the fuck cancer chant. Man, that's going to get all my YouTube videos demonetized in a heartbeat, isn't it? Whatever. I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this for the fun. An eye test saved my life when the optician spotted a brain tumor. A British woman says an eye test saved her life after her optician spotted a brain tumor during a routine examination. Katie Everett's eyesight had gotten noticeably worse, and indeed, they found an abnormality in both of her eyes. So they referred her to Basingstoke and North Hampshire Hospital. After an MRI scan there, the doctors diagnosed her with meningioma, the most common type of primary brain tumor. Now, 2.5 years later, Katie believes the routine eye test found a tumor that would have otherwise been undetected. She underwent 2 operations to have the mass removed in July of 2021 and went on to have radiation therapy, which prevents tumors from growing back in 90% of cases. The surgery was a success, although not all of the tumor could be removed, meaning Katie has to have checkups for the next 10 years. The beautician from Hampshire, England, feared she might have otherwise gone blind. If it was left any longer, I could have lost my vision completely due to it pressing on my optic nerve. It's hard to believe I really didn't think something like that could happen, said the 31-year-old. The type of tumor Katie had is classified as benign and is slow growing. However, it was pressing on her pituitary gland, which caused her menstrual cycle to stop and severely impacted her vision. I've had some hair loss where the radiotherapy was targeting the mass, and my nose and throat are still recovering from the second surgery where they cut away what they could of the tumor. Other than that, I feel fortunate to be able to share my story and help raise awareness. She also helped by raising lots of cash for tumor research. We're grateful to Katie for sharing her story as well as fundraising an incredible amount, said Mel Tilley, Community Development Manager at Brain Tumor Research. As so often occurs, life's biggest challenges can bestow inspiring benefits. It's made me realize that even when you don't feel that you're strong enough to deal with something like this, when it comes down to it, you somehow find the strength within you. That is amazing. To Katie Everett and to her doctor especially for catching, her optician for catching a brain tumor. Cheers. This next one was sent in by Eliza. Eliza, thank you so much for sending this one in. I called it Two Birds, One Drug, but I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all would like to read along. Hey, Russell. An ingenious technology could change both medicine and agriculture. 2 decades ago, the American biochemists Craig Crews and Ray Deshays hit on a revolutionary new approach for targeting disease-causing proteins. As Crews put it, the underlying idea was to do drug development differently. While there are approximately 20,000 different proteins in the human body, some studies have estimated that less than a quarter of them are druggable using conventional pharmacological methods of finding a binding pocket on the protein surface for designing a small molecule drug and thus inhibiting its function. As a result, protein targets for many common diseases have long remained elusive, purely because they lack a suitable binding site or a strong enough inhibitor. In addition, the need to maintain sufficient drug levels in the bloodstream to disrupt the function of the right protein can give rise to side effects. It's a bit of a sledgehammer approach binding to proteins and stopping them, said Crews. The problem is that these drugs don't bind permanently, and when they fall off, the rogue protein becomes rogue again. So you need to have 2 times, 5 times, maybe even 10 times as much drug around to saturate the binding site. Crews and Deshays suspected there must be a better way, one which utilized the natural garbage disposal machinery present within all cells, known as the ubiquitin proteasome system. In this system, problematic proteins are tagged for removal by a regulatory protein called ubiquitin, and then degraded by the proteasome. This is a real science-heavy article. Stick with us. We'll get there. I don't know what's going on in my chat. My chat's gone a little off the rails right now. Let's get back to the article. There's like a little fly that must have come in when I opened the window earlier. The researchers devised a 2-headed dumbbell-shaped drug called a PROTAC with 2 binding ligands. One site can attach to the problematic protein and the other can recruit another enzymatic protein called an E3 ligase. As a result, a PROTAC brings those 2 proteins together, which results in the E3 ligase tagging the problematic protein with ubiquitin, marking it for degradation by the proteasome. I've got to get to the part where this article becomes good news and not just science. Where is that point? This is a good article. It's just kind of, you gotta slog through it to get to that part where it's talking about the title. Let me cut through this article a little bit real quick. So we know what so we have So we got set up what a ProTac is. This ProTac is this special molecule they made that can basically tag certain proteins and kick them out using the cell's own way of doing it. So, but what can it do? I went through this article. I remember going through this article and I thought it was good, but okay, so several companies are pursuing the idea of combining Protacs with antibody drug conjugates as a way of enabling more precise delivery to There it is. Okay, there's one of the good paragraphs. So one of the things that these Protacs can do, one of the things we can do with them, is we can piggyback them with antibody drugs to target cancer, getting antibodies to recognize cancer, and the Protacs can help do that. So, a couple of places. Poland-based Captor Therapeutics is actively exploring the approach, while in the U.S., Aurum Therapeutics is conducting a phase 1 trial of such a drug candidate for HER2 expressing breast cancer. So, they're trying to fight breast cancer with this new molecule that they've just cooked up in a lab, which is really cool. In November of last year, Bristol Myers Squibb acquired Aurum's drug candidate for the treatment of acute myeloid leukemia and other CD33 expressing malignancies in a big deal. So, it is, Sean, it is. It's like a side project that's getting attached to other vaccines. There was another one. So, while cancer has been the main commercial focus of ProTac development so far, such targeted protein degradation approaches could also yield major breakthroughs in neurodegenerative diseases in the coming years due to the ability of these drugs to cross the blood-brain barrier. So you could feed medicine up into the brain because these ProTacs can get through the blood-brain barrier, and you could carry targeted medicines for the brain. Arvinus has conducted preclinical studies showing the Protacs can degrade a scaffolding protein called leucine-rich repeat kinase 2, which has been implicated in the underlying disease process of both Parkinson's and a rare neurological condition called progressive supranuclear palsy. So there's two different afflictions that they're now testing to see if Protacs can help with. One of them is one we all know is Parkinson's, and the other one is this progressive supranuclear palsy. So it's huge in the medical field. It might be able to help with a number of different diseases, from cancers to neurodegenerative diseases. They're doing a phase 1 trial on that. And then some newer applications could stretch as far beyond chronic illness and into the realm of agriculture. So, yeah, now we're going to get into agriculture. The ubiquitin proteasome system is conserved in many species, from animals to insects and even plants. So Protacs are now being studied as a novel means of pest control, which would be great because then we won't be dousing everything with poison. So in 2019, Leaps and Arvinus jointly created the agricultural biotech company OrthBio with the aim of developing Protacs as novel pesticides while simultaneously reducing the wider environmental impact of agriculture. And earlier this month, Orth published a new patent demonstrating how Protacs can degrade a specific target protein in insect pests, setting the stage for future products that can not only safeguard crops but also protect beneficial organisms. This is a major breakthrough in a field that is in desperate search for new modalities. So that's really cool. Rest of it's kind of a breakdown of different odds and ends regarding the companies that are utilizing them. But the big thing to take from this article is that this new kind of ingenious technology can tackle problems on both the medical and the agricultural side, targeting breast cancer, targeting different neurodegenerative diseases, and being able to help in fields we haven't been able to before, in ways we haven't been able to before, and also serving as a novel pesticide that can specifically target different pests. So that's really cool. Eliza, thank you very much for sending in that article, and to everybody involved in this, especially the biochemists Craig Cruz and Ray Deshays. Cheers. Targeting methods being developed could theoretically treat cancer as an infection. Yeah, basically, if we can just get the immune system to understand what cancer is a little bit better and a little bit faster, we may be able to, get it to do its job even better and clean up tumors and different malignancies from cancer. Yeah, that is going to be troublesome. Is who defines what an agricultural pest is. So we'll see. So that gets us out of category 2. We're going to get into category 3, flora and fauna. This first one was sent in by Charlie. Thank you very much, Charlie, for sending this one in. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if you all want to read along. I called it the Marquette Migration. Blue spotted salamander migration happening this week in Marquette. Marquette, Michigan. The blue spotted salamanders are on the move in Marquette. This week, the time and conditions at night are right for the annual migration of the blue spotted salamander. Tuesday night, Northern Michigan University students and professors were out at Presque Isle collecting data and advising the public. The salamanders emerge from their holes and make their way from wooded areas to the bog behind the Moosewood Nature Center to lay their eggs. The people that you see here tonight are a combination of students from Northern that have been trained to both collect data and to also interact with the public and help them learn a little bit about salamanders. So they're getting a lot of experience out of this, obviously. They're learning about science, they're learning a little bit about how to deal with the public and natural resources. Said Dr. Jill Leonard, NMU Professor of Biology, Department Head. Leonard also says they love telling the public about this native species. I forgot we had salamanders here. We have a ton of salamanders in Michigan. I think it's important to know a little bit about this wildlife. It's amazing how many times people have said they've lived in Marquette their whole life and they had no idea that these animals were here. And so that's really cool to hear. There's lots of folks learning about their local environment. These are native species, Leonard said. One NMU student says they involve the public and actually use some of the data collected by the public. I'm a steward. That's the people wearing these bright neon vests. We're kind of the people wranglers. So we're here for any questions that anybody has, and I like to just go up and kind of interact with the crowd. We give out these things now for citizen science so they can kind of do what we're doing, and that data actually gets used in our end results, said Michaela Sauter, NMU student. From 8 at night until 8 in the morning, a portion of Peter White Drive in Presque Isle Park will be shut down to allow the salamanders a chance to cross the road safely. The road portion will be closed to cars and bikers until May 15th, or until the migration is complete. Well, Sean, that's the big thing is our mantises only live a year, so we have them. They're just only active for like 5 months. Yeah, I still find them. I go out on little nature walks now and then, and I find salamanders all the time under logs and basically anywhere you've got good moist environments. They love to just chill under there. So found a couple of dark ones in the brush. Oh, cool. Oh, the boys were geeked. That's adorable. So yeah, that's a good one. Charlie, thanks you so much for sending that in. And to the students at NMU for being people wranglers and helping the salamanders. Cheers. No, Lily. Don't be getting into that. Gee, Moist. I called this next one From Panning to Planting. Oh, that's adorable, T-Rave. That's awesome. All right, I'm going to paste this next one in the chat if y'all want to read along with me. Destructive gold miners work overtime to restore thousands of acres of Amazon rainforest. I think that beer is affecting me. In the Madre de Dios region of southern Peru, small artisanal gold mines and the miners that work them have become a source of inspiring environmental work. Once slashing and burning tens of thousands of acres of jungle in search of gold, which they extracted with mercury, they're now focused on restoring the land they excavated by planting a biodiverse rainforest and swapping the toxic mercury for more sanitary methods of mining. I'm looking a bit flushed. I'm sure I am. This beer is strong. Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. Behind the project is the environmental NGO Pure Earth, which sought to achieve with a delicate touch what local and national governments failed to achieve with aggressive legislation and police raids. Realizing that the miners, despite coming mostly from the Andes region, took no pleasure in the clearing of pristine tropical rainforest, and that even after the price of gold skyrocketed following the 2008 financial crisis, they were operating on a lot of stick but not much carrot. Pure Earth gradually gained their trust enough to set up a pilot program. Madre de Dios! It feels good to see the forest grow back. Pedro Infrantes, a 66-year-old miner whose legal mining concession of 1,110 acres included a 10-acre patch of land for the pilot program, told NPR. Lopez. We don't want to deforest. When we had the opportunity to let the forest grow back, we took it. It's much better this way, he said. There are dozens of understory and canopy species growing now in Ifrante's land, each tagged with sign on Ifrante's land. Good News Network sometimes has some typos. Each tagged with scientific and local names in order to raise just a little bit of the collective sense of knowledge and responsibility the miners have while operating in the mighty Amazon. Bordering Brazil, Bolivia, and the other Peruvian parts of the Amazon basin, Madre de Dios is almost entirely Amazonian rainforest and contains a variety of tribal groups who live in large forest reserves and, according to legend, a lost city of the Inca. More tangibly, it is a stronghold of biodiversity for the western reaches of the Amazon basin and an emerging tourist destination. It isn't only for the sake of Western-style environmentalism that the miners are replanting on their concessions, but also for the sake of the health of the community. Madre de Dios, and Peru more generally, suffers from some of the highest rates of mercury poisoning in the world, causing developmental delays for children and other neurological problems, as well as significant damage to the lungs and kidneys and immune system dysfunction. Mercury is pretty much just a terrible element that does so much damage to the human body, and yet we have to use it for certain processes, and we are dependent on it now, and it causes us to spread it around. You can't help but chuckle every time I say Madre de Dios. Madre de Dios! Recently, Pure Earth helped 4 artisanal and small-scale gold mining communities in Madre de Dios achieve the internationally recognized Fair Mind certification, which proves their mining efforts are minimally damaging to the environment and human health by pairing their reforestation efforts with a switch away from using mercury to extract gold. Fantastic. Since 2014, 1.7 tons of certified gold have been sold to the international market, empowering more than 3,000 miners from certified mining organizations, according to Pure Earth. In return for their commitment to responsible mining practices, mining organizations have received more than $7 million of Fair Mind premium. Fair is fair is fair is fair. This substantial economic recognition not only validates their dedication, but also serves as a compelling incentive for continued investments in technical enhancements that make mining gold a minimally invasive procedure. That is really cool. To everybody, all of these miners turned agricultural experts in the reforestation of the Amazon and utilizing new methods to mine gold. Cheers. The fair is the fair is the fair. What do we got next? I called this next one Roger to the Rescue. And this one was almost a wholesome note because it's just adorable. But there's the subject matter of what happened. So, little bit of backstory. Taiwan recently had some earthquakes occur. And there's been a lot of response to recover people. And so recovery dogs are a huge part of that. Dogs obviously have a sense of smell far superior to that of a human. They're incredibly good at finding people, especially in who are buried in rubble. So they're a huge help when it comes to recovery. And this just happens to be one canine hero. So I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Roger to the rescue. Dog that flunked out of police academy becomes a hero in Taiwan's earthquake response. To be a drug-sniffing dog, you have to be impassionate, which is exactly what this golden retriever was not. Though Roger flunked out of the Kaohsiung City Police Academy in Taiwan, his career in public service was not over, and has now captured the hearts of his people with his rescue efforts during Taiwan's recent earthquake. Striking the northern part of the island with a magnitude of 7.4, it caused a landslide in a popular national park that destroyed several buildings and claimed dozens of victims. 8-year-old Roger was quickly deployed to the area, where his exuberance and independent streak put him in good stead for locating the body of a 21-year-old victim who hadn't been found. Whether Chen Chinishan, captain of the rescue dog unit of the Kaohsiung Fire Department, has other dogs that assisted in the rescue efforts, it was only Roger who captured the island nation's hearts because of his earlier career setback and subsequent redemption arc. I'm not saying he was not good or that he didn't get along with the others, but the requirement for narcotic detection dogs is that they can't be too restless and independent, Chen said. But these attributes are what we want in rescue dogs. These attributes are perfectly on show when he lunged for the reporter's microphone as his handler was being interviewed by Taiwan's official central news agency. And I think I did catch like a gif of that, of they're trying to do an interview and Roger's like, I want that, and went for the mic. Having participated in 7 rescue organizations throughout his career, which included his being certified by the International Rescue Dog Organization in 2022, an accolade last achieved by a Taiwanese rescue dog in 2019, Roger's retirement is fast approaching. CNN reports that he will have a wonderful home suitable for an active, precocious dog like him, but before he puts his paws up for his golden years, one family will have the closure of laying a loved one to rest because of his excellent nose and personality. I think if I try to decode that, Sean is leaving us to go to bed. But that's really cool. To Roger the rescue dog. Cheers. Well, that gets us out of flora and fauna. We're going to move into category 4, the wholesome notes, those really nice feely articles that we end on. I called this next one a viewing party for the ages. I will copy and paste this into the chat for you all to read along if you'd like. Hey, Tim. A teacher promised his 1978 class an eclipse party in 50 years, and he just hosted it. The year was 1978. Prime Minister Aldo Moro had been kidnapped in Italy. The U.S. senatorial proceedings were broadcast on the radio for the first time, and Patrick Moriarty was teaching his junior high science class about solar eclipses. Explaining their trajectories, the path of totality, and other such details, the class took a look at which upcoming eclipses would pass over their hometown of Rochester, New York. Hey, circle that one on April 8th, 2024, Moriarty recalled telling his students. We're going to get together on that one. Laughing, the class carried on the lesson, and every new group of 17-year-olds that came through his class got the same joke, with, inevitably, the same reaction. The years went by. The Berlin Wall fell. The dot-com bubble crashed the stock market. The U.S. elected a black man to be president. Social media embedded itself into our lives. And then, suddenly, Moriarty was looking at the calendar, and it said 2022. He always used to tell his students that he'd take out an ad in the newspaper, but since people don't really do newspapers anymore, he set up a Facebook group to track down some of his old charges and see if his promise meant as much to them as it did to him, but didn't expect much 40 to 50 years on, as one might imagine. But the group soon circulated among former students who kept up connections, and hundreds expressed interest in the event. Soon plans began to take shape, and Moriarty hired a local pizzeria to cater the event, and bought 130 pairs of eclipse glasses. Then the big day came, and the head-spinning reconnection began with all the students, whose faces Mr. Moriarty mostly did not remember, but whose names he did. The students came from all over the country, with children, with life stories, and with 45 years of life experience to share. Jokes were made. You seemed taller, said one. This has got to be the longest homework assignment ever, said another. In the hour before the eclipse, Moriarty was back in class, teaching the variety of middle-aged students exactly as he once did about the science behind an eclipse. Eventually, the moon passed over the sun, but even the spectacular stargazing event couldn't eclipse the incomprehensible moment shared between strangers who were nevertheless bound by an almost 50-year joke. When teachers go into education, they hope they can be the kind of teacher that would have an impact on people and make a difference for people, Moriarty, who's 68, told the Washington Post's Kyle Melnick. And this event right here just firmed it up for me that I guess I did okay. To Patrick Moriarty and to all of his former classes that showed up for his 50-year eclipse party. Cheers. I'm not crying. You're crying. That's pretty much it. That's really cool at the end. This event right here just firmed it up for me that I guess I did okay. That's absolutely beautiful. My mother was a teacher. My brother is a teacher. They're amazing teachers. They've done so much. And, yeah. That's beautiful. All right, what do we got next? Aha, Eliza sent this one in. I called it Paying It Forward, but the actual title is even more phenomenal, so I will copy and paste it into the chat if y'all want to read along. 5 teachers in your family. Sean, that's awesome. Long Island man rescues firefighter neighbor from burning home. A Long Island man jumped into action when his neighbor's home went up in flames. I just could see the smoke coming out of the house. I said, "Oh my God, call 911, the house is on fire," said Richard Mosbach. Mosbach didn't waste 1 second. He ran out of his home on Astor Drive in Sayville and tried to go into the burning house. I started yelling to see if anyone was inside, and then I came out because the smoke was so overwhelming, he said. That's when Mosbach saw his neighbor, Andrew Spitzfaden, who happens to be a firefighter, trapped and leaning out of a second-floor window. I ran back here because I knew I had a ladder, said Mosback. I was just scared I wasn't going to be able to get there in time. I was worried about him. Mosback said a contractor who was in a van nearby helped hold the ladder while he climbed up. I never even met him before, but he came. He definitely saved my life, said Spitzfaden. I went to 3 calls right after, actually. Still, because I love the fire department so much. Sadly, the family's dog didn't make it out. But with grateful hearts, the 18-year-old and his parents went to Mosback's home Thursday to say thank you. They felt indebted to their neighbor, who was a stranger before the fire. Definitely something that's going to stay with me for the rest of my life, said Mosback. In less than 24 hours, a GoFundMe raised tens of thousands of dollars to help the family rebuild. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. But that is still huge. A huge cheers to Richard Mosback for leaping in and being a hero when he didn't need to be, and helping Andrew Spitzfaden out of the burning home. And also a cheers to Andrew Spitzfaden, who then went on that same night after his home burned down to go on 3 other calls to help others. Cheers. And to Eliza for sending that article, because that's a heroes don't. I should have titled that Heroes Don't Wear Capes. I think I have it, not all heroes wear capes. I should have named it that. But that is crazy. Thank you. Cheers. Dang, Sean. Dang. That's quite the fam. All right, we got our Uh-oh, the beer has got me. It's a really good beer, Tim. It's a Cinnamon Expedition Stout. She's strong at 13.3%. She's very strong. We've got our last article of the night. I'll copy and paste it in the chat for y'all to read along. Some of you caught my little flub there. I called it Total Eclipse of the Heart, but only because I was told I had to call it Total Eclipse of the Heart by the person who sent it in, which was Charlie. Delta passengers get engaged mid-flight while seeing total solar eclipse from 30,000 feet. A couple took off on a once-in-a-lifetime flight from Austin, Texas on Monday to witness a total solar eclipse from 30,000 feet in the air, and landed in Detroit, happily engaged with a story like no other. Neil Albstein and his girlfriend, Michelle Rosenblatt, both of New York, were on one of Delta's 2 Path of Totality flights, an experience the airline had never before offered, to fly along the path where the moon would completely cover the sun. The airline offered 2 simultaneous flights to Detroit at the same time, one departing from Austin and another from Dallas. This year's eclipse will travel across the U.S. at 1,600 miles per hour, while the aircraft will be moving at about 480 miles per hour, Delta said on their website. The path of totality and the flight's path will come together about halfway through the planned flight time. Albstein told Reuters that the flight was such a special event that he didn't believe he would be able to top it for asking Rosenblatt to be his bride. Both Austin and Dallas were parts of the path of totality, which spanned 15 states before dipping into Canada. It seemed like I could never come up with anything else so special to propose to her, he told Reuters. And I wanted it to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, so it just seemed perfect to combine it. And he did, right after witnessing totality from 30,000 feet in the air, spawning elated tears from his new bride-to-be and cheers from fellow passengers. Once the eclipse happened, because I knew I wasn't going to propose before the eclipse, once it happened, then my attention shifted and I started getting nervous, he told Reuters. Video and photos of the moment show him pulling out a shiny silver ring that he had kept in a little blue box. He told the Detroit Free Press he had been planning the proposal for 2 months. Man set the bar so damn high. That really is good. To the happy couple, Neil Albstein and Michelle Rosenblatt, Congratulations on your engagement at 30,000 feet just after the totality of a solar eclipse. And to Charlie for sending in this article. Cheers. Wow. Just wow. Those were 10 great articles. Thank you all so much for sending in those articles. Salud. Chin chin. Totaling them up, let's see. Charlie's got From Darkness to Light, The Marquette Migration, and The Total Eclipse of the Heart. Eliza sent in Reduce, Reuse, Recycle, Two Birds, One Drug, and Paying It Forward. So we got a tie, 3 and 3. Thank you both so much for sending in so many good articles. And thank you to goodnewsnetwork.org for providing the other articles on tonight's broadcast. Just some great articles. Eliza has conceded. Charlie, stating that Charlie is our winner. I think Total Eclipse of the Heart definitely might have won it. So... yeah, y'all were 3 and 3, so it was really good, and those were great articles. Those were some really good articles tonight. Thank you all so much. Yeah. I'm so. Oh, okay. Are these not the same people? No, they're not the same people. Are they the same people? I know. I don't use the screen names sometimes. So I did, Tim. Thank you so much. I know everyone by their names and forgot their Facebook names. I don't use the Facebook names often. Thank you very much, Tim. I didn't do a shout out for myself because I don't toot my own horn. So, but thank you. That means a lot, man. Thank you, Eliza. So that's about it for tonight. 10 great articles, 6 of them sent in by our viewers. Gotta love it. Thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Knicks News Facebook page and at some point, the Knicks News YouTube page. Again, we're live every other Sunday. Our next episode is going to be on April 28th of 2024. I encourage participation, so if you feel so inclined, you can message the Knicks News Facebook page with suggestions for news brews, shout-outs, news quotes, and even good news articles that you find that we can present on future episodes. If possible, I do appreciate a variety of articles across our 4 categories, and those 4 categories, again, are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and the wholesome notes that we like to end on. So, as always, thank you again. I love you all so much, and you have a great night. And I will play us out.